This is that great American newspaper that I love, the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. We're going to go just as they have these stories on the Sunday edition. Of course, their sports page, always good reading. USGA faults conditions. Come on, man. Enough's enough. You're making millions. You're playing golf. They do not, the USGA, make it an easy course when you play in the U.S. Open. That's what gives hopes to hackers like him and the Bambino that maybe there is hope for their great game. He would have been very happy, like Brooks Koepka, and yes, Tony Finau, and yes, Dustin Johnson to be 3 over. Even he would have taken the 81 that Phil Mickelson shot. Come on.
I would have been celebrating that 81, Rob, without a doubt. In those conditions, I mean, that was amazing. And not to criticize the condition, I think it would be really cool to try to play in those conditions when you realize, look, I don't need to make a birdie. Let me try to make even a bogey on some of those holes. That would be something you dream about and remember forever.
All right, talk to me about what happened to Phil Mickelson. 2-stroke penalty. He finishes with 81. He ran up on a putt. I mean, it's something that you would do playing in a foursome at your local country club.
No, I would never do that.
Never?
That is a violation of the rules. Golf is one of those games where you don't touch a ball that you've hit and it's still moving. But
his brain misfired. His brain misfired. It happened. Don't beat the guy up. He's done more to help the game and will continue to play competitive golf long after.
All right, I'll stop beating him up, but I still don't think he should have done it.
Let me ask you this. We talked about this too. Tiger Woods' 10-year exemption could be up, so he's going to have to do the run-up thing to be back at the U.S. Open, because if it is USGA rules we're playing by, that's what he's going to have to do, despite, second to Jack Nicklaus, all-time majors. He has 14, Jack has 18. But I think also there has to be a little frustration, because they may win another major, but to win the U.S. Open, which I think is as hard as, if not more difficult, than any of the other majors, including the Open Championship because of links golf, which this is kind of comparable to as far as what we're seeing at Shinnecock Hills. I think him turning 48 yesterday and Tiger in his late 40s, it may be the end of the line as far as another U.S. Open championship, and Phil was looking forward to get the career Grand Slam.
Well, like we talked about, Rob, I think the problem with U.S. Opens and guys who are older now as far as winning a U.S. Open, they've lengthened these courses to make them so long that you have to be on your game for such a long period of time and hitting those tremendous tee shots just to get in position to hit a second shot. It's very difficult for an older player to do that now. I don't know that a U.S. Open, and then they talk about this being a link style course. Well, it is link style in the sense that you don't have tree-lined fairways and all the rest. But the way that this rough is set up, it might as well be trees, because those balls that are going in there, all you're going to do is just knock the ball back in the fairway. You can't play those shots.
All right, Bill Brink is writing about the Pirates in the Post-Gazette. Ivan Nova, 6 strong innings yesterday. Pirates win 6-2, 3 homers in the game. Josh Harrison had a homer. He ended up 2 for 4, 2 RBIs. Also homering Diaz and Moran, who I think is the big deal that everybody should be giving credit to Neil Huntington for, because that's the steal of the year. I mean, you think what Musgrove is playing today, starting in this game for Father's Day at 1:35 against the Reds, what he's done in what little time he's been on the mound, and what we've seen Moran continually do as he did yesterday, just exciting stuff. But he talks about Ivan Nova finding his form. You think that's true?
It seems to be, yes. He has really rounded into really strong shape. One miscue yesterday on a ball that was flipped on him when he was covering first base, ball bounced out of his glove, but he kind of rallied from that and had no issues. Really had the Reds eating out of his hand yesterday. He looked really solid. I thought it was kind of unfortunate for him to not be able to carry on past the 6th inning, but he did get pinch hit for, and then they ended up cashing in runs with Freese having a big base hit in that spot. So that really solidified the victory for him. I think he had another inning in him, though.
All right, Ed Bouchette writing, as I mentioned, we talked about it, Mason Rudolph moving up to the number 2 slot as far as the depth chart. He wrote about that the other day. You think that that's good news for Mason Rudolph, or do you still think learning curve, he's got a long way to go?
No, I think it's good news, and I think that's what the Steelers were hoping to have happen, hoping that he would pick these things up that quickly so that he will be their guy to move into the future. And I think we may see one of those 2A and 2B type situations, Rob, where if you're in a game, you're going to go to Landry Jones because he can get you home the rest of the way. But to start a game, if Roethlisberger were to go down or to miss an entire game, I think you're likely to see Rudolph particularly if you get beyond the 4th or 5th game of the season.
All right, Ron Cook also, he and Pony, as in Andrew Filipponi, who's right now over my shoulder in the other studio here at KDK Radio. He's on the air for the CBS Radio Network. They every day at 10 o'clock in the morning, 93.7 Fan until 2. Ron Cook writing about Terrell Owens going to regret skipping his Hall of Fame induction party. And as always, I think Mr. Cook is spot on.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about this last week, that this is one of those things where I think maybe T.O.'s thinking about his way short term in his thought process. You miss a chance to be on that stage, to go into the Hall of Fame. You never get that chance back. And this is what you thrived and strived for your entire NFL career, to be there. And now you get the shot and you're going to say, I'm not going to go. It doesn't make sense.
Also, the great Gene Collier, as always, front and center right here, is talking about baseball. You always love what Gene Collier does, ladies and gentlemen. And one more because of your beloved Pitt Panthers, Brian Batko. Meet Mr. Hall, as in Darren Hall. So let's talk about Mr. Hall. Let's talk about the Pitt Panthers, because as the Steelers get set to go to Latrobe, and of course UPMC Southside Complex, the other locker over there happens to be occupied by the Pitt Panthers. So what do you think?
It's, it's one of those, this is the time, hope springs eternal in baseball, and we always talk about spring training. Well, it's similar with the Pitt Panthers. We hope that they can live up to some of the advanced billing, and some of these guys can really take that next step. Darren Hall had a nice season last year. It's going to be important to have him step forward this season also, particularly on September 8th at 8 p.m. on ABC TV, and we all know who they're playing that night.
Listen, the only thing I'd want to be better at than throwing a beautiful pass to be completed to some great Pitt Panther wide receiver, I would have loved to have been a paper boy back in the 60s for the Post-Gazette, driving through Panther Hollow, looking for you, saying, paper!
Tossing them onto the front porch. There you go.
Have a great day, everybody, from your Pratt Pack. And again, happy Father's Day to a great dad. I'm okay, too, to your dad out there. So long, everybody. Good afternoon. Thanks.